Hey everybody, welcome to our channel, Kono Pro. In this video we're going to be going over a quick little job that I did, and it's just basically building this cool fence. And it's 1x6 cedar fence, dog-eared fence planks that we cut off the dog ears and laid down horizontal with some redwood and some Doug fir. And we go over a couple little tips on how to get this fence and gate built. And stick around, watch it, hope you enjoy. And please subscribe and like. Alright, so first off we have to get our post set. So what I do is I mark my layout. In this yard there's a little radius, there's a little detail because half of it's California friendly and the other half is just regular lawn. So the clients wanted me to sort of follow that detail. So our fence sort of curves in this one. So what I do is my dog ear fence planks are 6 feet, but after you cut off the dog ear, they're more like 5.5. So I mark my posts and set them every 5 feet. That way my dog ear fence plank could land half in the middle, basically center of each post. So once your layout's done, then you use your post hole digger, set your post, and you're good.
We already got all the posts set. You see that right there? Bam. Just a FYI, when you're digging holes like this, you got to be careful when you're using a post hole digger that you don't hit these pipes right here. See that pipe in there? You got to always watch out for water pipes. And then if there's any little roots, you can cut them out of there. But you want a minimum 18 inches, 2 feet. So basically what I did is I set it in some Quikrete post set concrete. And what's cool about that is that it takes about 20 minutes to set. There's different ways you can do it. You can pour the concrete in there, add water. I like to pre-mix it and then dump it in. And then set your post. Like I say, you got 20 minutes workable time, so throw your level on there and make sure you're leveled off before it dries. All right, but we got all these posts set. Probably took us a good 6 hours. Got them all done, ready to rock.
All right, so after we got all our posts set, which were 4x4 moisture treated posts, once all those were set, we went in and started running all our horizontal and vertical support members for our dog-eared fence plank. And we also installed a redwood 2x6 redwood cap to give it some detail. And then we also just took some of that leftover redwood material and cut little square 6-inch by 6-inch little caps, and then we beveled the edges to give them some nice little edges for the caps. And here we are. We're going to be installing our horizontal members, and basically what I do is each panel is different. They all have their own different elevation, and they're all a little bit separate because they go up and down a hill and follow a radius. So you mark your layout where you want your supports, and then make sure you level over, and each side sort of does its own thing. But once you level it over, your next size, I always like to make sure I'm a minimum 2 inches down from the top for my cap, so that way I have room to put my redwood cap. Okay, and here we go. I'm putting a centerpiece, pretty basic. You just measure the middle and then cut your center support there and then tack it in. I'm using 15 gauge 3-inch brad nails, and 15 gauge is a pretty nice little strong nail. It'll hold for a long time, and I've been using them for years, and I've never had any problems as far as them coming out. If you use 18 gauge or anything smaller, even 16 gauge, sometimes the nails won't hold that well, but 15 gauge works great. And you can see here we just held up the center 2x4 and leveled it off and scribed our lines and just chopped it. Here's our redwood cap, and what I like to do is dry fit a lot of stuff. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just measure a couple inches over what it is, and then I'll bring it over and I'll set it on it. And then once I do that, I can start, scribing my lines to get my angles, right? Because on this one we're going up a hill, and then each 4x4 post, because they're a little bit curved, will have their own different little angle, right? They're not completely all lined up like you typically would do with the fence. You put a dry line, and then everything would be square and lined up, and all your cuts would be square. In this one, all of the posts and stuff, they're sort of custom, because they're following a radius, right? So if you cut it a little stronger and you just sort of set it on top like I'm doing here, mark all the different lines and figure it out, you can really see what angles you need to cut and what you have to do. It's awesome, and that's what I basically do. It's always helped me get it. When I really pay attention to it, I'll mark a couple times and cut twice and I'm good. You see that right there? That's my plumb level cut right there, right? Because each post is level and plumb, so that's that cut right there. And then we had our little angle cuts, and there they are, bam. So it should slide in perfectly, which it does. Watch your reveal when you set that top piece. You see how I got a piece of the cedar fence, the dog-eared fence plank, the cedar plank that I'm going to be using, and I'm using it to make sure that my reveal is where I want it to be, because my edges are beveled right there on the end of that redwood cap. I have my edges like a little 3/4 inch bevel. That way, when it right there on the post, each cap sort of has a little return that goes down, and then it connects with the cedar, so it sort of, you know, all sort of runs together. All right, so if you're doing something like that, make sure you bring whatever product material you're using, so you have your thickness up there and your reveal is nailed down properly and where you want it. Oh, yeah.
We're gonna finish off everything. We're gonna be putting a cap on here. I'll have a gate running through right here, but we see how we got that side basically opened up right there. And then we're gonna run through and we're gonna put all these planks. See how we ran all these planks right here? And you can see how we turned it too as well. You can see how there's like a radius on it. Boom. Then right here, you can see where we had our little pieces with our different little mitered cuts on them to give it the bend and the turn. What we got going on is we're going to finish basically installing all our horizontal planks. These are 1 by 5.5, 1 by 6 planks. They come in 3/4 by 5.5. That's the true measurement, by 6 foot long. They have a dog-eared section on it that I cut off, square cut. And then if you see right here, this little section right here was the tricky section. And basically what I had to do is I had to give it like a 15-degree cut here, and then I had to give it my level cut here, and we're going off about a 30-degree, 20-degree angle there, right? So basically I just hold my piece of wood up there on the angle. I measure with my gap space. I hold my piece of wood up there, and then I scribe, and then I level down, and then I go and match that angle on my miter saw, and I give it a cut, and then I bring it up and dry fit it until I like it fitting nice and tight there on my seam. And then I also like it fitting nice and tight right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut little square pieces right here that are going to fit in between there, and those are my transition pieces, because basically we've got an angle on this thing. This thing sort of, you see how it jogs that way, and then you can see if you look down the whole other fence that we already finished. The homeowners got it all stained, DIY style. They did a beautiful, amazing job. But if you see that, how the fence just curves all around. See that? Boom, we got all our planks on. And that's how it looks. All right, real quick, these planks right here, I'm about to throw up are just square cut. There's no funky angle on it or anything. But because there's a transition here, we're gonna have a little piece here. All right?
Alright, so now we're running our horizontal dog-eared cedar fence planks. So what we did is we just cut off the dog ears, and then we ran them over. And what I do is my very top horizontal cross member, I cut it you know, wide enough to cover that 2x4 cross member. I don't like the bottom of it to be sticking out. So the reveal of the bottom and the top one, because I want them to cover the 2x4s, the gaps between those and the center members are little, they're not the same, but it gives a character and it looks cool, and the reveal is basically almost the same all the way through. But my center 3 planks, I like to keep them all level, so I'll square over from each side, each section, and make sure my next 3 are basically that height too, just like I'm doing right there. And it's pretty easy to square over and then use your level, and you're good to go. And make sure your gaps are pretty even. And remember, if you're measuring between the gaps and you're realizing that the measurements aren't quite the exact same, that's because sometimes these dog-eared fence planks, when they come from the local hardware store, they're not always the exact same reveal. So one might be an 1/8 inch stronger, or even a 1/4 inch stronger than the other one. So what I always recommend is just try to figure out where your next plank is going to go, and then compensate in between. Or let's say you're going to butt up one plank against the other one, make sure the planks are basically the same size. All right, and that's the way it is with these dog-eared fence planks. You know, you can get them inexpensively at your local hardware store and then cut off the dog ears and you have a nice board. But all of the reveals are a little different, so you got to sort of be picky with which ones you use. But once you get a nice stack and you just have your measurement, let's say it's 50 inches and you just cut 10 of them, boom, you can throw them up real quick. And that's basically the way it is with these fences and stuff like that. So, I love using the dog-eared fence plank, but you do have to sort of pay attention to the thicknesses because they are a little bit different. All right, and sometimes you can pay attention to the grain and you can, sort of give it a really cool style. I always recommend too, right away to stain the fence, like right away, not to wait. Get it done right away because things acclimate quickly. Sprinklers, there might be some rain coming through, so always you want to stain it right away. All right.
Check it out. This is final product here. Now the homeowners are going to stain it. They've already stained a whole section right here. It looks beautiful. Let's check it out. See the gate here? We got these little caps we did out of redwood. Just gave it a little 45 bevel on the end. We got our little right there. I wrapped the 4x4s with the cedar. Gives it a lot better look. Loaded hinges right here. Bam. Boom. That's how we do it, just to make it look gorgeous. You can see how it jogs around this way. You see that, how it jogs this way. And then we hit it with these little pieces in there. Move it this way. Let's jog it that way. Then we came over here at the end and we wrap this with cedar, so now that'll get stained to match. You see how clean those lines came out? You can see it's all wrapped. Bam. There it is. So if you're ever needing to make a fence that's curved or radius, this is how it looks. Yay, yay. That's how we do it, everybody. We appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Subscribe, shoot us a thumbs up, and a comment if you want. That's what's up. Kono Pro. Peace.